Be not misled by these expressions of emotion. Lemuel is an honorable man. But who is this man whose very name evokes such feelings? He's a humble man. As a young engineer, Lemuel apprenticed with my father-in-law in our state's capital city. I knew him not then, but I did inquire. "Oh, noble father-in-law," I said, "was Lemuel an ambitious lad? Was there good by which he is remembered?" And my father-in-law said, "Lemuel was skilled and showed promise. He was true and just to me." "So you were sorry to see him leave?" I asked. And father-in-law replied, "No, all I could say was, 'Praise the Lord.'"
And I'll tell you, for those of you who haven't worked directly with him, you might not know it, but this guy has qualities. When I started looking at things that I might say, the qualities that exist here are the qualities that if you had a son, you'd like for him to have those qualities when he got to be grown. The honesty and integrity, the capability along with willingness is rare in today's world. And all I can say for Lem Tull is that he is a solid rock citizen.
He is picky, picky, picky.
The proclamation says, whereas Lem Tull has dedicated 33 years to a career in civil engineering in our community as co-founder of Crafton Tull and Associates, and whereas he has been an active participant in civic affairs and projects, having held responsible positions on many boards and organizations, and has been a powerful influence for good in the growth and progress of the City of Rogers. Now therefore I, John Sampier, Mayor of the City of Rogers, do hereby proclaim Saturday, November 2nd, 1996, as Lem Tull Day in the City of Rogers, and extend to Lem our congratulations and appreciation for his many years of dedicated service.
A noted writer, James Barrie, once wrote, that God has given us a memory that we might have roses in December. And for the last 43 years, these are full of roses in December, because I have a lot of memories over the last 43 years. I remember making a trip to Rogers with Lem just to look the place over. He thought we ought to go look it over first, and I sure did. And I realized on that trip that that guy was dead serious about moving to Rogers, a town of 6,300, to try to make a living. I remember when we opened our office in Rogers, and as been mentioned before, we rented 2 motel rooms for our office. We had one desk. He sat on one side and I sat on the other. I remember when we got our first job. We'd been here a couple of days, and the first job came in. And we were excited. It was a survey job. One of us got the tripod and leaned it against the car. One of us got in the car and backed over the tripod and broke it. We took a piece of yellow flagging and a stake, and we spliced the tripod, and we made the survey. And according to the field notes that we have, the survey tied flat. I remember building our first office out behind the Ramada Inn, and Lem and I were our own interior decorators. And we put in the foyer an 8-foot Razorback hog rug. And we bought a brand new red typewriter and put it on the secretary's desk. And that lasted until Margaret Ann and Bonnie visited the office. I remember flying to Houston one time with Lem. I was a pilot, he was my co-pilot. And we went to Houston to determine whether or not to buy a $100,000 computer. It was the latest and greatest. and we didn't have enough money to buy gasoline for the plane. I remember going to Miami, Florida one time to negotiate with a client that was even in more arrears than Lindsay gets. And we negotiated for 8 hours. We started at 8 o'clock, and we didn't quit until 5 o'clock, knowing all the time that if we didn't do a good job here and get paid, we'd have to close our doors. There were 8 of them, there were 2 of us. The difference was I had Lem Tull on my side. We came home successfully. I remember forming the corporation. We started out as a partnership. And after about 3 years, we decided the liability and so forth, we better get incorporated. We had 4 stockholders. We issued 30 shares. Lem had 14 shares. I had 14 shares. Margaret Ann had 1, and Bonnie had 1. We had our first meeting, and we voted 28-2 to buy a survey truck. And very seriously, I can certainly thank you, Lem, for 43 years that have given me my roses in December. Thank you.
I do feel like that I know most of you all pretty well, and I feel like that most of you all know me pretty well. And you all know that there's been lots of lies told up here tonight. And I forget who it was that said, I mean, it's Dan that said is don't inhale. And they also know that I'm not a public speaker. And they know that's the reason I picked Bob Crafton to be my partner. And there's no way that I would do anything any different than move to Rogers, Arkansas and spend my life in the engineering business in Rogers, Arkansas.
But every time I saw Lem Tull, he would say, "How's it going, Hoss?" And as a small child, I remember thinking, does he just not know my name? And of course, I knew nothing of Gunsmoke or any of those things. And I often recall him saying that, and when he did, he always said it on your level. See, the thing about Lem Tull is that he gave you the feeling you were the only person in the room when he was talking to you. And so from a toddler to grade school, high school, and young adult, Lem always spoke to me at my level, whether that was to get on his knees and meet me face to face, or sit on an ottoman as I was growing, or stand and look me straight in the face as a man. He always did that and made you feel good about yourself. When Lem Tull spoke to you, you couldn't not see that Lem Tull smile. No better smile in the world. And no more sincere smile that let you see in and pierce his heart. His smile gave you a glimpse of the man that he was. Missy and Jim shared some thoughts, and they remember touring and inspecting those bridges in those early days. And then many years later recall as adults traveling around the state that when they would cross one of those bridges, they would call their father and tell him that they had crossed one of his bridges. How much he must have appreciated that. And they recall that taught them that whatever you do, you should work hard and be proud of your accomplishments. Missy said Dad taught us to believe in ourselves and to not let anyone or anything hold you back from doing what is most important. You see, Lem had a high school counselor that told him he was not college material, that he should just go get a job at a gas station. But Lem was determined to be the first person in his family to graduate college, and that he did. He wore his college class ring every day with a great sense of, I suspect, personal pride for his accomplishments and the things that he overcame. But I have to also think that he wore that ring as a daily reminder not to let others determine your destiny. Some of the words that came to my mind, and I suspect you would share when thinking of Lem Tull, is humble. I tend to believe that humility is the most important virtue that we should continue in our lives to strive for. Lem was very humble. He was loyal, vastly loyal to his family, his business partners and co-workers, and his friends. Lem was probably the most gentle soul I've ever known. We've talked a little bit about his generosity. Lem was a generous person. And that honesty was at the core of everything that he did. He's loving. And to steal a phrase from one of our former mayors, John Samper, before the city had a tagline, "Where possible is," Samper used to say, Rogers is the place where we're quietly making noise. And I could really think of no better way to talk about Lem Tull than he quietly made noise throughout his entire life. I don't know about you, but Lem seems to have strived to be the type of person that I want to be. So I think today, as we honor him, it's incumbent upon us to also carry his legacy outside of these walls. And to let the legacy he left with each one of us in different ways help us to be a better person, a better spouse, a better friend, a better co-worker, a better neighbor, community members, and probably most importantly, better Christ followers.
You know, I have 6 brothers, but Lem Tull has been closer to me than any brother I've ever had, because we have been together so long and have shared so many experiences. I will first tell you that in the history of our being together, there has never been a major disagreement that could not be settled. Not one in all of these years. There was never a time of regret that the partnership was formed. All because of the dedication of 2 individuals to have a successful and lasting business partnership, and Lem's unique ability just to lead in working things out for the good of all concerned. Well, today, after 2 people first being inspired by an intelligent, smart, honest, detailed engineer who always seemed to know where he was going and always insisted that things were done right, today, there does exist a well-known company providing professional services from 8 offices over the country and working in several states. Now leading the company are the sons of the 2 original founders who weren't even born when the original partnership began. Thanks, Lem. Thanks for the legacy that you have left. My.
Lem had a deal on his office back there, that little saying, it said, Babe Ruth struck out 1,307 times. One of my prized possessions right now is I've got that. He gave that to me. And all of us have struck out a few times, but we know that Lem has hit a lot of home runs. One of them was just recently. The mayor asked him a while ago, he said, Lem, are you going to be traveling and going around doing a lot of things? Margaret Ann let it slip, says, we've took 2 7,000-mile trips. Lem said, well, you know, I had to use the company credit card. He said, they're going to take away my card, and so had to go with the card. I had to get the trips in first. We'll be heading up to Branson, but we won't spend the night. He's hit a lot of home runs, but y'all all know that and everything. And to convert from where I've been to where I really feel is that Lem is nice. If you want to try to find and search your mind and say, give me one word. Give me one word. And Ernie struck pay dirt, I think, pretty good. But I couldn't come up with one word, but I could say, one, he is wise. I have told Tom and a lot of other people, told Bob, told a lot of other people, Lem Tull is one of the wisest people that I've ever met in a group of 3 in my 52 years of living. Wise. Lem is honest. Lem is fair. And last, maybe more important than all, Lem is good. And the Bible says, if a man is good, he also is great. So this wise, honest, fair, and good man is great. Thank y'all.